Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
I'm George Luna.
I'm Brittany Pacheco.
I'm Frankel Cooper.
Criston Jones.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are here today to discuss House of the Dragon, Season 1, Episode 6. The episode titled The Princess and the Queen. And before we get into the big time jump, which was 10 years, and before we get into the recasting of major characters, let's just quickly go around the room and get everybody's overall thoughts on The Princess and the Queen. I'll start with George. What do you think about this episode, George?
Overall,
Yeah.
This shit's getting spicy, and I love it. It's getting messy, man. It's pretty exciting. That ending was fucking insane. All the drama, the back and forth between the queen and the princess. I'm for it. I'll end this later with you guys because I do want to get your thoughts on a couple of things. But overall, I love it. It's super spicy.
Brittany, what about you?
Before I share my thoughts, Justin, I just want to say hello to everyone in the chat. Drew, our friend from the north, we missed you last week in the chat. Glad you are able to catch up and listen to us today. Shout out to Mel from Geeking Out with Melly Mel, and shout out to Amber from All of Amber's Wands. Thank y'all so much for being here. I know you guys are excited to talk about this. We're very excited to talk about this. And let me just say my thoughts on this episode, much like what Ryan Condal said in the inside the episode after the premiere. This is basically like a whole other pilot that we got within this season, right? This is like season 1.5. We had a recast of several different characters, and we have to develop the story. And more than anything, Frank and I talked about this already before we jumped on here, the dialogue. The dialogue in this episode is so crucial, and it's so well done. And I saw a lot of mixed reviews about last night's episode because there wasn't that much action. It was just kind of blah for individuals. Listen, this is really setting up for the big event that's about to happen in the next few episodes. So overall, I really did enjoy this episode. And shout out to the actresses Emma Darcy and Olivia Cooke for taking on the mantle that is Rhaenyra and Alicent. Frank, what are your thoughts on last night's episode? Oh, let's unmute Frank.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the dialogue has been great. I think the acting has been superb, even with the new actors, Olivia Cooke, who plays Alicent, and I'm not sure who plays Rhaenyra, but from what I see,
Emma Darcy.
Emma Darcy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
They've done a great job. I have one concern, and it's the time jumps. Only because of I think what made Game of Thrones such a great show is that you saw these characters grow up. You saw the relationships mature, the connections between people could mature. So there was a more emotional impact when things happened, like when Daenerys finally found out that Jorah betrayed her. I think it was season 5. Like you felt that, you felt the hurt. You know, like there are certain relationships like Harwin Strong with Rhaenyra and the kids, and Harwin dying didn't really do much for me. Like because there was no impact for me because I didn't know Harwin that well. Hell, I didn't know Harwin was Harwin until last episode last Sunday. So some of the time jumps are starting to affect some of the relationships on screen for me as far as emotional impact. That would be my only beef. But as far as the acting and dialogue, all that's majestic and great and everything.
Tristan, what are your overall thoughts of the episode?
Love the episode. I have the inverse reaction to the time jumps. So I speak from both a show watcher and a book reader. I don't know which one takes precedent, but like as a show watcher, I guess I do understand the critiques of like the lack of emotional investment that we have in some of like our secondary and tertiary characters. But as a book reader, and just I guess because I understand what the end game is, we have to understand this is a limited series. Like we're not getting 8, 9, 10 seasons of House of the Dragon. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would love it, but I don't think we're getting that. So this show from the beginning, I mean, they told us this was about Dance of the Dragons. They didn't. This is not about the interrelationships between Targaryens and like the council and all the people around them. This is not what the show is about. This is about the Dance of the Dragons, and everything else is a setup to getting there. So as a book reader, because a lot of this Harwin Strong, we don't really know much about Harwin Strong in the book either. You know, it's like I wish we got more of Lena Velaryon in the book as well. Like we don't get those there. So I didn't expect to get them in the show. But since this is a show and the way and shows are built off that emotional attachment, I totally get it. I guess for me, I love the episode so much because, like Frank said, the dialogue, obviously, I thought that the newer actresses, Olivia Cooke, Emma Darcy, I think they captured so many of like the quirks about these characters perfectly. Like you can still see the angst in Alicent, right? Like you still see like she's anxious about like the larger machinations that are happening around her, but you see her 10 years later, so there's more agency and there's just more assertiveness, right? With Rhaenyra, you still see like that teenage rebellious, you still see like that the teenage angst. It's a different type of angst, right? So the actresses did a wonderful job. The dialogue was great. I think the dialogue has to be excellent to carry an episode where there's little to no action, right? And that's what we saw there. So loved it as a book watcher and as a book reader and as a show watcher. Can't wait for next week.
Yeah, you touched on a couple things. The time jump for me, I don't mind it. I mean, I'm not a book reader, so I don't, this is all new stuff to me watching the series. But it did in the beginning feel like kind of like a new show, which it's kind of strange feeling because, and I don't know how many shows have ever done this mid-season of a very, very popular show. I mean, like 30 million people are watching each one of these episodes. This is a very successful show. And for mid-season to kind of recast major characters, which we knew was coming, but to me, it's like kind of unprecedented. I can't think of another show that I've watched or a show that's successful that's done that. And just to kind of touch on the recasting. So, Rhaenyra is now played by Emma Darcy, who I'm not familiar with. And then now Olivia Cooke plays Alicent Hightower. And Olivia Cooke, the only movie I've seen her in, or the only thing I've seen her in, is Ready Player One. I don't know if y'all have seen that movie, Steven Spielberg, from a couple years ago. But I wasn't super familiar with her, but you can tell she definitely is playing Alicent. And, it's worth noting that, the older actresses were, they're not older people, but I mean, they are older people, but they're not old people. They were cast before the younger version. So, I think the younger people were told to kind of, the older, I mean, they kind of set the tone, but they're playing character, the older characters, the characters were built in their vein, I guess you would say. And so they're trying to kind of live up to that, even though it's kind of reversed with the younger characters getting the roles first. We have, we have our third version of Lena and Laenor. John McMillan is now playing Laenor, and Nana Blondell plays Lena. George, what did you think about the recastings?
I didn't mind them. Like the characters, all the actors were. I think they all did great jobs. Coming into it, it's still surprising. Like I got so used to seeing them, even though I know it was coming. Then when I see the first shot is like the shot of Rhaenyra's face, and I'm like, wait, is that her? Is that supposed to be her? It just throws me off a little bit, but after a while, I got used to it. So now I'm just trying to adjust my mind. So like, this is gonna be these are the characters going forward, and this is gonna be now. So just getting out of that, seeing all the younger characters and how good of a job they did, it's going to take some adjusting.
Yeah, because they did a great job, like you said. It's also worth noting that Olivia Cooke, whenever she auditioned for this show, she read for both roles, Rhaenyra and Alicent. They said she did both very well, but they decided that Alicent was kind of more her speed or more to the story. Brittany, what do you think about Rhaenyra and Alicent, the new actresses playing the roles?
Listen, they're doing the damn thing. And I think they're doing it extremely well. And with Rhaenyra, when that very first scene that we see her in, she's giving birth to her third child. I seriously had the major flashbacks to seeing her mother, Emma, for the very first time. She looked very similar to the actress that played Emma and kind of more or less in the same physical state as her mother. So that was very well crafted, in my personal opinion. And with Alicent has really embraced being the queen and being the person to not fuck with at this point anymore. After what we saw in the previous episode with learning that Rhaenyra had lied to her, betrayed her, and she's still wearing her green, of course, and the greens and the blacks are going to be a big factor in this story moving forward. So it's the casting, I think it was extremely well done. They looked the part, they acted, and jumping ahead a little bit just to talk briefly about next week's episode. Shit's gonna go down between these two women, and I am here for it.
Yeah, you mentioned the way the episode opens with Rhaenyra giving birth, and it's like this one it's like a one shot. It's like a 10-minute scene, and that was a key moment in this, or a key part of this episode was we meet a lot of the kids, right? We meet all the kids. So Alicent's kids are Aegon, Aemond, and Helena, and then for Rhaenyra, her kids or her sons are Jacaerys, which they call Jace, Lucerys, which is Luke, and we meet young Joffrey, who is born at the very beginning. Frank, what's your take on the kids so far? Are you getting to know these kids?
I mean, so far so good. I mean, we all know the kids will play a huge part in this incoming war. I think it's very interesting how, and even in real life, how family beefs with older generations can transfer to younger generations. In certain facets of life when it comes to family turmoil. So I'm very excited to see how they adopt all this family quarrel from the previous generation. But ain't gonna lie, man, that Aegon, man, that dude there, he's something. He gives no fucks. I mean, to be that carefree to masturbate out of a window is that is something.
Well, I mean, he's definitely a Roman Roy fan from Succession, so that's clear.
And this is why I'm not Team Alicent. To walk into a room and see your son jacking off butt ass naked and not address this, like, bro, this has to be addressed. You're a grown ass man jacking off outside of a window, and your main concern is his secession. Like, where's the parenting right now, bro? Like, what is going on?
Frank, can I piggyback on this real quick?
Please.
Because the scene prior to seeing Aegon's butt ass naked self jacking off out of the window, Alicent tells Sir Criston, and I quote, she says, "I have to believe in the end that honor and decency will prevail." Next scene, you see her son doing what her son's doing. I'm sorry. No.
But I think her lack of reaction is probably because it's not the first time this has happened. So
agreed.
Does that make it okay though?
Or they're on the verge of a civil war, and she wants the prince, who should be the damn king, to act the part. Like, I think that's a little bit. Yes, obviously we can.
So you're not concerned that the future king of the Seven Kingdoms is being off amongst down below the common people? This is who you want as king.
I cannot believe you've been watching Game of Thrones for this long, and this is what you're a stickler for. I cannot believe that in real life.
No. There are many other things I'm a stickler for. This is just one of. This is like one of a dozen things. This is the funniest thing I've mentioned. I saw in the last episode. There's many other things. Here's the other point that I had. The power.
The dude whose background you were in front of literally killed his wife last episode, and this.
Oh, I'm gonna get to him too. I'm not.
That was an accident.
I'm sorry. I refuse to believe that. That
was an accident.
I don't know what you're talking about. She fell off a horse, bro.
No. We're talking about Alicent. I'm not even. We'll get to Daemon next. I got some shit for him too.
Man took a minor to a pleasure house, man. Come on. All right. I'm
the power move that Alicent did at the beginning of the episode. This woman just popped out a baby to make this woman walk 10 minutes through the court of public, literally through the court of public opinion, just to have her berated and stripped.
In fairness, my good queen, she did not.
Rhaenyra did not
make Rhaenyra do a single thing.
Rhaenyra made that decision. Yeah.
Okay. She wanted the baby, so the baby should have walked on its own. Honestly, that's what.
She just had a baby. Who the fuck? Why do you think it's okay for you to ask for the baby as soon as it's born? You can't wait a couple hours. The baby ain't gonna age in 2 hours. You can't wait till the baby gets some sleep and rest.
I can't. Yeah, y'all know good and goddamn well. What the hell are we doing? Are we doing this?
But honestly though, I mean, Frank has a point though.
That's Tristan. You can't tell me that's petty, bro. That's not petty, dog.
No. But if it's 2 hours later, I mean, the kid might have maybe a hair on his head. But I mean, honestly, like, how fast does hair grow in this society? Because like, it doesn't grow that way here.
Listen, we damn.
That was a power move to boost. That was a power move to say, "I'm queen, bitch. You're below me on the power meter." That's what that was. That wasn't see if the baby looked like. That was a power move. It was.
I'm gonna stop y'all here. Let's stop this now. Let's stop this now. Before we keep going.
We're gonna have a civil war amongst the watchers. Like, let's just see how this unfolds.
Was it petty? Sure, I don't doubt that. Like that's out in the open. Cool. When you have 3 children, you're the heir to the throne. You have 3 children who anybody with any set of eyes can see. My 9-year-old can look. Hell, their own kids themselves can look and see. This is not my fault. This is going to you know more than anybody that having 3 kids who have a line of succession to the throne, who are bastards, is a nuclear bomb in Westeros. You know that. Alicent knows that.
It's not going to change with Joffrey, bro. You've had Jace, you've had Luke for the last 10 years. They ain't going. Niggas know already. It's not going to change with Joffrey. What the fuck?
You don't address that as I can't believe that.
She's been trying to address this for 10 years. Viserys is not gonna allow it to change. So what's the point of parading a third child to try to showcase your proof? People know already. So what? It's not gonna change.
So you let it slide. That's what you're telling me.
She can't do anything about it, bro. As long as Viserys is alive, she said, "This is my heir. She is my heir."
I'm going on mute, man.
Oh, okay. Let's keep this conversation moving along. All right.
No, Frank has a good point though. I mean, you've already had 2 children that definitely look like the he's the commander of the what's his title?
City Watch, commander of City Watch.
City Watch. So I mean, the third one, obviously, that's another one. It's a big deal. But I mean, you've already got 2, so it is kind of a strange it's definitely a power play. To especially right after she gives birth. How does she know that? The kid is just born as we're watching, and immediately, one of the midwives is like, "Hey, yeah, the queen wants to see the kid." It's like,
well, that was probably an order given prior to the birth of the child, and she wasn't going to say anything until after the child was born.
And I'm assuming Alicent asked to see child 1 and 2, or at least 2.
Yeah, right.
And I think she has every right to see this child.
I mean, she can do what she wants. She's queen. I'm just saying it's petty as fuck. It's not. You're not going to prove your point any more than what has been shown over the last 2 kids.
No. We've been on this podcast for 5 weeks prior to today, talking about how King Viserys is weak because he refuses to press the issue on certain things that are monumentally important to the story. And now we're saying, Alicent, oh no. The first 2 kids, they're already here. We might as well just let it slide. Same thing with Daemon. All Daemon's transgression. So by that logic, because Daemon is prone to fucking up and getting exiled over and over again, that we should just let his action slide because we let him get away with it in the first place. No, Alicent was completely right. Was it petty at that moment? Absolutely. She could have asked to see it a couple hours later, but I think Alicent correctly wants to make Rhaenyra cognizant of the fact that what she's doing is monumentally fucked up to the realm, monumentally fucked up, and we can't let this shit slide. No, you can't keep having bastards with this dude when you are heir to the fucking throne. I don't understand what we're not understanding.
Are we seriously sitting here and trying to question what's right and what's wrong.
Yes.
From the beginning, Otto sat here and paraded his daughter to be queen. That was a power play move. So we can't we can't sit here and try to say, oh well, shit, that was a setup. That was okay, but what Rhaenyra's doing is wrong. Yes, Alicent was a pawn in all of this, but let's not act like all these people in the court all moved by self-interest. So her family's right or wrong is no bigger than what Rhaenyra's doing.
Knock down the straw man, okay? Put the straw man down, okay? Who gives a fuck what the council's doing? We're talking about Rhaenyra and the 3 bastards who set to be in a succession for the throne. And she's married to a dude who's not going to make it another 10 years. Like, these are things she has to worry about as, the queen of the realm. I'm just saying. All right.
It's not.
But okay, can I interject, please?
Go ahead.
So, obviously, prior to Viserys taking the seat of the next king, there was a great council. Jaehaerys was, dying or whatever, and it was determined by this great council that it was going to go to the male heir. Okay. Viserys, unlike the great council, made the decision to name his heir his one and only daughter. Not because of any other reason other than it was his only daughter and there obviously wasn't a male heir. So why should that change now that there is a male heir if Viserys has already deemed it so? Why would he now go back and change that and deem it so? And whether or not he wants to see his grandchildren as bastards or not, he still is standing by his word to say Rhaenyra is the heir, and then her firstborn Jaehaerys will ascend the Iron Throne, and so on and so on and so on. Like, why does it need to go back to anything other than what Viserys had said it was going to be?
No, that's a good point. I do think that, as we can tell, Viserys isn't long for this world. And once he dies, I think the realm is going to be up for grabs. For the throne will be up for grabs. Like, I think it's what they've said, what Otto said, and that's all kind of coming.
Oh, it will be. But what I'm just saying is just because now there's a male heir in play, now we have to change everything that Viserys has decided because there's now a male heir. I know Tristan's like burning because I'm bringing all this up right now, but you understand what my point is that Viserys made it so. No different than just Jaehaerys had made it so with the Great Council. The only difference is there's no Great Council that decided whether or not Rhaenyra was going to be heir or not.
I agree. The decision was made 15 years ago. He made it.
And decisions get unmade. Like, when things change.
And on top of that, if when Rhaenyra becomes queen, we know how the story ends, but in retrospect, if Rhaenyra becomes queen, she can legitimize her kids if she wanted to. Like, she has that right. Kings have done it before.
Look at Tristan. Look at Tristan. Tristan's like, how dare you say any of this in my presence? And George is over here laughing.
It's the way he was hypocritical in literally the same sentence, in the same clause. You can't say, okay,
this show is hypocritical. What are you talking about? Stop going with this value of honor. It's fucking House of the Dragons. This is not some more high show. What the fuck? Have you watched Game of Thrones last decade? There's no more. It's all about power resides. What if Varys said power resides where you believe it resides? That's what Game of Thrones is all about. It's not about moral compass and moral codes. All moral niggas died in this story. Ned died. All these moral people died. Like, stop going all this moral shit.
Tristan, your rebuttal, please.
I'm going to ignore what he just said because, again, irrelevant to the conversation.
How is it irrelevant? You literally
Frank.
Yeah, all right, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Take a step back. Take a step back.
Pragmatism, right? Pragmatism. If it's okay.
I'm sorry. What? No, I'm
pragmatism. You just said that Rhaenyra has the power to basically, if you legitimize a bastard, you are undoing a previous decision, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
So if Viserys undoes a previous condition, like, walk me through how that would be any different.
I mean,
hold on, fella. Hold on.
He's upset now. He called me fella. He's upset now.
We've seen wars being fought over succession, over legitimizing bastards. We've seen this. Like, we know how this was happening. The pragmatist part of it. Okay, yeah, Viserys made Rhaenyra the heir. Cool, right? I was all for it at the time, right? Rhaenyra since has made decisions that put the crown in jeopardy. And you know damn well, if people find out, people already know, right? Once Viserys, the only thing that's holding the flimsy shield that Rhaenyra has is Viserys. That's a flimsy shield, right? Once Viserys dies, as you know, like, there's going to be challenges to Rhaenyra, if for no other reasons, because she has 3 bastards, fam. Yeah. You cannot have 3 bastards on the throne and have them as, you know, in the next in the line of succession. You know,
why
good
not?
as well as I do. Like,
this is not something I have.
This is not something tell me what Cersei did. Cersei also said, I don't give a damn what the king said. After he died, she went and reversed the decision that Robert Baratheon made. If we're gonna talk about how people have this power, then you can't get mad when somebody's using said power. And Alicent is using her power, but she's not. Is she using that for self-interest?
Yes. Yeah. It's her son.
But at the same time, it's for the good of the realm, and you know that better than anybody on this podcast. That's for.
Oh, yeah, because Aegon's a real winner. That one.
Hey, we're not out here, but no, it's not about morality.
But this girl of the realm line has been overstated and overrated. When Aegon the Conqueror came from over Valyria and pretty much conquered 7 kingdoms and murdered millions of people, that was for the good of the realm. That was on the basis of conquering and taking something that he thought was his. So this whole good of the realm thing, it's all about power and influence. That's what it's all about. That's hence Dance of the Dragons. It's going to be a war for power and influence. It's not for the good of the realm per se. Every war that happened wasn't for the good of the realm. It was for overpower. Simple, just power. I want that, so I'm gonna fight for it, and I'm gonna find the base of feudalism and have other people fight for me, not for the good of the realm.
I just want you to tell me the last thing I'm gonna say before we move this forward.
Please.
Is this about morality or not? Because
it's not. It's really.
We started this talking about y'all chiding Alicent because she didn't automatically get on her son for masturbating where Tommen, future Tommen jumps out to his death. Right.
She's over here talking about honor morality and decency. Honor. It's the words out of her own mouth.
Please do not talk about decency with a Targaryen. Please. I feel like an insult. Like it's Please don't.
All right. Okay. We need to put this particular subject to bed, but I just want to share some great comments here in the live chat. Thank you all for everyone who stuck around with this because it turned into as own kind of beauty. LDJ said, "This is not House of the Basement." Jesus. Oh my God! Yeah.
Just so y'all know, this is a typical Monday with Tristan and I. This is another. The only difference is being caught on for the internet.
So as in the show, I'm going to try to offer a peace offering. We're going to talk about Rhaenyra. She talks about how, hey, like, let's make this good, right? I've got my son Jacaerys. He's next in line after me. Why don't we wed him to Alicent's daughter Helena? And you can tell Alicent's not having it. Of course, Viserys is like, what a judicious proposal or whatever. I don't know if that was funny. George, what do you think about this this proposal that Rhaenyra has for Alicent and the king?
Hey, she was trying to be the bigger woman. She offered something. She said, "Your kid doesn't have a dragon. They're making fun of him. I'll give him a fucking egg." Look at that.
There we go. Problem solver.
She did kind of laugh at that, though. I mean, did y'all catch that? She did kind of laugh at that, kind of like Aemon doesn't have an egg.
Yeah, I saw about that.
But we'll offer as a form of goodwill, if you will. And
so why doesn't he have an egg? Let's talk about this. Why doesn't Aemon have an egg?
Because Aemon is on a whole other level. Jesus.
But I mean, he's like what, a 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid in the show at this point. Like, why did he not receive one? How do you get an egg?
He was every Targaryen royal princess receives one. It's tradition.
Yeah.
It's just hit or miss whether. So conversely, you look at
Damon's
Lena.
twins.
Yeah. Was it Lena? Lena. Yeah. Damon's daughter.
Wife.
Well, the wife also.
Well,
She
no,
didn't have
Damon's
one till
daughter
she was 15.
was
Right.
sad about because she had a dragon and she had been trying to get it to hatch for about 8 years and it just
Right.
never
Yeah.
did.
So
It's hit or miss,
so-
you know. It's a
so
50-50 proposition.
So Damon's twins, just for everyone who's following. So Daemon is married to Lena. They have twin daughters that are about 8. One is Bela, who does have a dragon. The other is Rhaena, who is trying to get that egg to hatch.
Got to change your names. Get different names. Let's
Please.
broaden. Let's learn new words. Make up new names. They're too similar.
Yeah. So like furthermore, so like Tristan said, like they get an egg. It's like a 50% rate whether or not it hatches or not. And then if it doesn't hatch, then like as they get older, they try to bond a Targaryen with a dragon or Velaryon with a dragon to see if it like I think with Lena, Damon's wife, she didn't have a dragon, but she bonded with Vhagar, which was Visenya's dragon, I want to say, Tristan.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was. She's like the oldest living dragon left, so she bonded with him or her. I don't know what sex the dragon is with her as she got older. So yeah, it's one of the two. So
Well, Aemon had one. It just didn't hatch.
yeah,
Right?
correct.
Okay.
But don't worry about Aemon.
Yeah, don't worry about Aemon.
Don't worry about it.
Wow.
I want to
Aemon is
say he'll
hard.
be all right, but he really won't be all right. But he does get a dragon. Spoiler.
Okay. So
For that world, he'll be okay.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'm not the book reader that y'all are, but so is this Aemon Targaryen the same Aemon Targaryen that we see in Game of Thrones?
No, that's a different Aemon.
Okay.
This is Aemon. This is Aemon One Eye. Yeah.
This
Okay,
is
'cause-
Aemon with a D. He has a D at the end of his name.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
Whereas Aemon,
Why does Helena make the comment about he'll have to blind an eye or whatever whenever she says
It's foreshadowing.
It's foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
also,
but why? I
um,
don't understand. Like,
well, there's
Read the
also like rumors or mythologies that Helena has like mythical feature. Once every 10
Yeah.
generations, you get this Targaryen who like is Dany's the dreamer or
right?
such and such. Like so, they're kind of. I think they're playing into Helena, who's very like introverted,
Right.
very
She's very sensitive.
very sensitive.
She's like the
loves
Rain
animals.
Man kid. She knew like the legs on the little snail or whatever thing. Yeah.
And
That's how
damn,
they're
because she
playing her.
do math fast.
Got to take
Yeah,
her
no.
to Vegas. Yeah. Count cards.
I do want to say that when Olivia Cooke was interviewing about her character and then that of her children, she literally said that all her kids are fucking weird. And you know what? This episode really showed it right off the bat.
And we still haven't met the youngest one yet.
Darren. No.
Yeah. So they're all weird. They're all weird as fuck.
Yeah, they're all
super
weird.
As you see,
So-
Aemon.
In comparison to the bastard children, they're weird.
So another kid question. We find out that Lena names the kid Joffrey, obviously after his fallen former lover. Okay, is this Joffrey the reason why there's a Joffrey Baratheon as far as like the name? Is that how the name gets into the family or into the royal? Or no, or we don't know? Or
No, because if I remember correctly, even during the era of Jaehaerys and maybe even before that, there were already Joffreys. So the name Joffrey like
it's been around.
existed.
Okay.
It's already around. It's just a matter of matching it to the appropriate house name.
That was Joffrey Lannister.
Yeah.
Especially
I think that's
after-
exactly where it came from, probably
Yeah.
given
Well,
that
well,
Cersei.
But who's Joffrey Lannister? Remind us, please. No, I mean,
just some lord
but
from.
has he been in this show or was he before?
No,
this
no,
show?
no, no, no. This is just. I'm talking like we're talking like with the book. There's
Okay.
there's just the name. Listen, for those who have not read Fire and Blood, it's literally like reading a history book. It's very dense, lots of names, lots of dates, lots of places, and
Lots of names that sound exactly like each other.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So no, we're not going to necessarily see and hear all the names and characters in the show, but no, Joffrey was just a name that's already existed.
Okay. So the clashing of over the kids continues, and we get this great yard training fight scene. Frank, what are your thoughts on Criston Cole goading Sir Harwin into, receiving some hands from him?
I never seen a grown man this scorned before, bro. That shit is wild, dog. Like, yes, you fuck Raina. Yes, she declined your proposal to move to Essos. Bro, get the fuck over it, dog. Like, bro, it's been 10 years, man. Golly. Like, I thought it was kind of dope how he kind of like goaded Harwin to punch him. Like that was his whole goal, was to like get a rise out of him to see, kind of showcases proof that, these kids mean more to him than just typical kids that he's training. So I thought it was genius on his part. The books were very different, though. If I remember correctly, Criston whooped his ass. If I remember correctly, so that was a very different spin to the show. But I loved how it played out. The kids are weird. Aegon's weird as fuck. I'm very concerned with him. Yeah, but it was a good scene.
For me, well, I definitely pushed back on. I've never seen a dude this scorned. Robert Baratheon, hold my beer. Hold my beer. that man started a war. Like,
Gods, he was strong.
I don't know, bro. This man killed a knight at a wedding celebration or a feast. Yeah, that's pretty wild. I mean, don't get me wrong. Robert was scorned too, but at least Robert did shit in war. This man did this shit at a feast.
That's true. So I mean that scene, I kind of second what Frank said. Like, it was, you didn't realize how genius it was that he kind of goaded him into the fight until he's laying on his back with blood in his mouth and he's spitting it out. I mean, yeah, like this is just where we are. Like, the battle lines, every single scene, it feels like the battle lines are becoming more and more pronounced. And the biggest tragedy in that scene for me, honestly, just to keep it brief, is that had it not been for like the question of succession, had it not been for the enmity between the queen and the princess, like, I think these kids would be like generally great friends, great cousins, family members and such. And like, this is the show telling us, like, I mean, I'm sure we'll get to like Larys and his monologue at the end, but it's like the fucked up shit that happens between one generation always lends itself down to the next one. And it's just tragic because we can see the downfall of all these kids because of things that are so much outside of their control. So that's the biggest thing. Like, when I watched it, there was no excitement from me, even when Breakbones and Criston Cole were fighting. Like, there was no excitement. It was just like, damn, this is really tragic. Like, the way Criston Cole was like kind of jerking around with Jace, and Harwin Strong was kind of doing the same thing to Aemon. Like, why are we treating these kids like that? And like, their beef because of what they want and like their own self-interest and their own scorn and stuff like that is leading them to like treat these kids worse than the situation they've already been put in because of their mothers and their fathers and such. So I don't know. It's a tragic scene for me. Very interesting, great scene as far as like the portrayal of it, but like, just tragic.
Yeah, I think you definitely, Criston Cole definitely was like, seemed like he was like the football coach, and Harwin was like the dad on the sideline, wanting his kids to get more playing time or something. And then, I mean, it's not the best look for Cole because, like, Aegon is like what, 14 or 15, and the eldest son, Jacaerys, is like 8 or 9, and so he's pitting them against each other. It just, I mean, the younger kids are definitely weaker than the older kids, so it was kind of, that wasn't a great look. But he got what he wanted. He wanted to, for Harwin's business to be out there where everyone could see it, and I mean, I'm just surprised Criston didn't put up some kind of a fight because it looked like, I mean, after what he did 10 years ago, it seemed like maybe Harwin could crush his face with a few more punches.
And that's a good point too. I wish, and we didn't get to see it because of flash forward, but I would have loved to see what was decided for Criston after he murdered Joffrey at the feast. Like, that's a big deal. Like, you murdered another knight to the man that Rhaenyra's about to marry. Like, that's a whole different. That's a knight of another house that's joined house with your house. I would love to see how that got handled. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we saw like he was about to commit suicide, and like, Alicent stopped him. But I would love to see that play on screen. Like, what was the decision that took place for him to keep his position as as a knight?
Well, my question would be is, who do you think would draw the biggest reactions? Who would have the biggest objections to Criston Cole? Like, who would press that issue the most? If you say Corlys, yeah, this man he does fight for House Velaryon, but Corlys, like everybody else, knows that this is the dude who's rumored to be your son's lover, and you don't want that part out. Who's gonna do it? Rhaenyra? Right? Not really. She doesn't really know this guy. Like, who will be the biggest person to press the issue, right? If the queen herself says this person is in my service, he's gonna be my sworn protector, and Viserys isn't strong enough to push back on it, who is?
But isn't that kind of disrespecting the title of being a knight at a high court? Like, you would think. I mean, I'm just saying. Like, I mean,
no. Who gives?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm not taking nobody's side. I'm just saying, as a fan, as a watcher, I want to see that play out on screen. I don't care who. I don't care. I'm not taking anybody's side on that. I just want a knight got murdered at a feast. Like, I want to see that play on screen. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like Criston is a major character. This is not a minor character, an offshoot character. This is a major character. I just want to see the decision being made on screen.
I'll say this. What Game of Thrones has shown us, the show, what all the books have shown us, plus Fire and Blood have shown us, is that just being a knight isn't enough to like make you, foolproof. It's not enough to be like your shield. You know what I'm saying? No pun intended. Like, we've seen knights get killed. We saw knights get killed at tourneys. Hell, Joffrey in the book, Joffrey Lonmont get killed at a tourney. I know that gives more plausible deniability, but there have also been investigations of murders at tournaments. You know what I'm saying? So Criston Cole is a Kingsguard. Like, and unless he breaks his vows, unless he betrays the crown, there's really no law against what he did at that feast. I'm sorry to say. You know what I'm saying? Like, he killed another dude. He could say, hey, this man, he provoked me. Who is going to say something? Literally nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nobody who's going to question it that far. Like, I think people could speculate as to what was his motivation, but he broke no laws. I'm sorry. He has a higher station than Joffrey Lonmouth. You know what I'm saying? And this world is built off who has the higher station. This is low-key
he doesn't have a high station than Laenor Velaryon, who is a king consort. He has a high station above a Kingsguard member.
Okay, you're Laenor Velaryon. Press the issue. What's your what is your offense? Like, go ahead.
I mean, he's a sworn protector. So I mean, I think that in his right, you kill my sworn protector, and I'm the king consort. That should say something.
I'm the Kingsguard. That young man said some things that was threatening to the crown. I took action.
There's no proof for this.
What is he going to say? Like, Laenor's his biggest defense would be like, I have this emotional connection to this person, whatever. Like, he can't say that. Like, again, he could press the issue and say, I'm king consort, he's my sworn protector, but he does not have the power. We saw in episode 6, he does not have the power to institute dramatic ramifications for Criston Cole. He just doesn't. Sorry.
So to keep this conversation going, I'm very curious as to y'all's thoughts about Larys Strong, aka the Clubfoot, and the role that he plays in his allegiance with Queen Alicent. Tristan, you're muted, just FYI.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Just your take, or actually, let me go to George first. seeing Larys strong, he is the other brother to Harwin Strong, who, quote unquote, has fathered Rhaenyra's children. His father is also hand to the king. So Larys, having in the previous episode kind of aligned himself with Queen Alicent. What did you think about his role in this particular episode when he meets with her privately for dinner, and then everything else that transpired thereafter?
Man, who hurt this man? Like, what did they do to him in his childhood? Like, that was did they make fun of him or something? Because he didn't give a fuck about his family.
Like, I mean, he's a Clubfoot, so
that's what I'm saying. It's just crazy. Like, what he did for the queen. She's like, I didn't ask you to do that. Okay, she didn't, but he took it like to the next fucking level, which even she was shocked by it. I was shocked by it. I didn't think he'd kill his own fucking dad and his brother. And now he's gonna play that as leverage, right? To try and be hand of the king, I'm guessing, or queen, or whatever the fuck happens. If once the king dies, I'm guessing he wants to be on a good side that she owes him.
Well, he definitely is on. He's definitely on the council, or the Green Council, as we'll call it, because again, he's in alliance with Alicent, and Alicent, of course, expressed to him during this dinner that she knew that her father would have been on her side, vying for everything that she was wanting to prove to Viserys to be true, of course, about Rhaenyra's children. And Clubfoot just kind of took it as, oh, well, we need to find an out to get your father to come back to be the hand of the king. And you're right, George. He didn't give a shit if it was his own family, his own father, his own brother, because he obviously knew that his brother committed a treasonous act, if you will, by fathering Rhaenyra's children. And the quote that he said at the very end is what really got me. He says, when a queen makes a wish, what servant of the realm would not serve to fulfill it? That was a wild line, an incredible line. I don't remember if it's in the book or not in itself, but just his interpretation of what it is that Alicent was asking. But she wasn't really asking for the death of the hand of the king as well as Harwin Strong. Right. So Clubfoot, goes out and gets his own little birds, if you will, but instead we're going to call them bees, because we do see the significance of the bee sigil on his cane. You see his followers wearing the bee on their cloaks, having executed the fire at Harrenhal, which further makes people believe that Harrenhal is just cursed. Frank, it looked like you want to say something.
No, I don't understand why you would give these people a sigil pin and they burn your house down. Because like if somebody sees that, they see that sigil on these criminals' chest, they're gonna, well, he's a last remaining member of House Strong. What the fuck's going on? Like I don't
see.
Like,
that's the thing. That's the thing.
Cut their tongues off, but I'm sure one of them can write. it's some shit go down. Like I didn't understand the sigil thing.
But I don't think the sigil is his actual house sigil. That was something that was specifically for Larys, and I think that's something from the book. Tristan, tell me if I'm wrong, but there's a line in the book about Larys. His words would drip like honey, yet the poison would taste so sweet. So in other words, like someone commented in here, what's up, Trisha? Shout out to Texas Potterhead. Appreciate you being here. She says that Clubfoot gives her Littlefinger vibes for sure. I say Clubfoot is like Littlefinger and Varys combined, just because of the, Master Whispers, followers, etc. But I think the bee sigil is significant to just a reference from the book, if I'm not mistaken.
I agree with that, and if we go back, if we talk about Littlefinger created his own sigil as well. And I think Larys is a precursor to Littlefoot. He's a much more extreme version of Littlefinger. It's debatable where you can say which one is more dangerous. Like both of them are remarkably dangerous. But Larys is much more on the nose about his treachery, where Littlefinger was a lot more subtle, at least at the beginning of the show. those scenes tell again, like I don't know if it's because I'm a book reader or it's because I'm just I don't know, but I could tell so much from the conversations they were having at the table. Like you look at the body language, look how comfortable they are with each other. The fact that they have like these unspoken rules to their conversation. Somebody walks in, they immediately shut up, right? Like lets you know they've been doing this for a while.
He started dinner without her. Like, who starts dinner without the queen?
About the queen, but I mean, if that pie gets cold, and I don't understand. Like, I mean, I do feel them. Man. I don't like waiting for people to eat either. But Alicent, again, like I think this is the biggest conflict within Alicent right now is she wants decency. She's driven by decency, like she's governed by decency and law and duty and honor and blah blah blah. But she's also recognizing, or she's been recognizing over the span of these 10 years, especially since her father left King's Landing, is that you have to, I mean, you have to get in the mud. Like it is what it is. Like, and I think I don't think Alicent is power driven initially, but she also understands that she needs power in order for her and her family to be safe in the way that she wants her family to be safe, or for there to be, organization within the realm, within the crown, whatever. And I think she's wrestling with the fact that, hey, I want honor, I want everything to be honorable, and I want everything to be decent, but the people around me are not playing a decent game. So it's like, do I kind of wither within that and shrink back into 15-year-old Alicent biting my nails and such, or do I take advantage of the position that I'm in to try to gain more allies? Now, again, she did not specifically ask Larys to kill anybody on her behalf. All she did was say, hey, I need more people in my corner. Where I would chide Alicent for is at some point over the course, if you've been, having conversations with this man for the better part of 10 years, you have to understand who he is and what drives him. Or at least you have to start getting into that habit, or that's some type of gap that she has as a ruler. And you have to understand what this man, what he is, what he's driven by, or at least ask the question, like, what are you driven by? Right? Because she should have known that by saying certain things to him, that he would react a certain way, or that he's power hungry enough to make a big move, which is what he did, which was a big move, big move.
Yeah, and he, by killing his brother and his father, he kind of does it in a way to, Alicent talks about how she misses her dad and would like for her dad to be there because he's partial to her. She wants somebody on her side. My thing is, why would Larys think that her Otto would be invited back to be the Hand of the King after he was, he lost that job 10 years ago? Is there no one else that could be Hand of the King who's around the king currently? I mean, like, why would Otto's a retread? Why would he be brought back for that job?
But to answer that very quickly, like,
Yep.
With Larys, it's the same thing with Littlefinger. It's just about chaos. Like, you remove Lionel Strong, who's a major piece, somebody who has the king's ear, somebody who's also, I would say, his advice more so leans toward, the princess's side. Like, you remove that power vacuum and you can kind of fill it up with whatever you want, or there's a better chance that the next person that you feel, whether it's Otto Hightower or not, is somebody who is either neutral or more lenient to the queen side. And I think that's what he's hoping for, to get in her good graces.
Right. So he's not the mastermind that maybe Littlefinger was, because Littlefinger maybe thought 2 or 3 steps ahead. This guy's like taking it one at a time, I guess, in a way.
In Fire Blood, like the George R. R. Martin, the narrator, says that scholars over countless generations have studied Larys Strong, and none of them have really been able to figure out, like, what is it about him? What drives him? Like, none of these things. Like, he's just a mystery to history.
Yeah, George, I don't know if you got this feeling, but did you feel any kind of animosity he had between his brother? Like, I feel like it didn't seem like his brother like picked on him, and of course we only saw him like in
I don't know.
a couple of scenes. But
I was confused about it. Like, I didn't even see them really have an interaction or like a negative kind of. I don't know. I didn't notice anything.
Yeah, and you know, I think that his father and his brother are both kind of collateral damage in his like his kamikaze plan for power. But I don't know. It just seems. I mean, you know, it's crazy to kill your family for that. You know, I mean, if you have a good reason, it's okay to kill your family. But if you don't have a good reason,
Hey, look at
can't do
Ramsay
it.
Bolton.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ramsay Bolton killed his stepmama, the baby brother, and his daddy, just so he could be Warden of the North. So
And one
we don't
more,
condone violence here.
right? Just to kind of final note on the Strong family for now. What did y'all think of the scene where Lionel goes to Viserys and offers his resignation? Brittany, what are your thoughts on that?
I think considering that Lionel Strong is probably the only character in this world that has no ulterior motives to advance himself, advance his family, to use the king or anyone within court, the fact that he was just doing his job and had been doing a decent job of just advising the king on matters, to have the Strong family name questioned and be part of rumors that not borderline, but would put their heads on a spike. Honor to him means everything. And so the honorable thing for Lionel Strong to do was to resign his post and to leave, because again, that association with just his son and then the princess, what would that mean for Lionel Strong? What would that mean for him advising the king? Was he going to be a good enough person to continue advising without being questioned about everything that he was doing? Or could he have orchestrated this arrangement between Princess Rhaenyra and his son? You see what I'm saying? So I think it was very appropriate for Lionel to put in his resignation, but Viserys, of course, would not have it. He said, "You've advised me. You've been my hand for 10 years, and you know I'm not going to have it." Tristan.
Well, no, just really, Viserys knew what letting him resign would mean for Rhaenyra and those children. It would be a tacit admission that the rumors are true. That's why he didn't accept that resignation. I mean, yeah, Lionel Strong's a really good hand in some ways, but he ain't that damn good. Like he knew keeping him around helps to create the facade that those are Laenor Valyrian's children, and they're not.
Right. So my final point on on how Strong is, first of all, R.I.P. to Harwin and to Lionel. But for Larys Strong, in a show that is, you know, a lot of great characters, right? No one is like truly maybe good or evil in this show. I think with Larys Strong, we finally have a true villain, right? In this show, you know, obviously Game of Thrones had some of those too, but I would say that Larys Strong is a villain through and through, and I'm very interested to see where he goes next, because I mean, how do you follow up killing your dad and your brother? You know, like what's your next act? It's a hard thing to top, I would think.
I do find this interesting too. Like even in the previous episode where Daemon takes Rhaenyra out to the brothel and stuff, you see rats in that scene, and then the very next scene, Larys is talking to Alicent. In yesterday's episode, you see rats on the banister where Viserys is at, and then it goes back to Larys, and then when in the wedding feast scene where Joffrey gets killed by Criston, you see a rat in blood, by a pool of blood. So I don't know if that's just symbolism to talk about this rats all around us with ulterior motives, or and I read this too somewhere that so 3 houses in the history of Westeros have had, you know, wargs, green seers, such as House Blackwood, House Strong, House Stark. And I wonder, and I don't know if the show's gonna go this direction, if because Larys seems to know a lot of things without even showing inclination that he's even around those things physically. And I wonder,
real quick, you forgot House Reed.
Oh, and House Reed. I'm sorry, you're right, House Reed. Yeah, the green people. So it makes me wonder if he has any type of green seeing powers to collect all this information per se and use this information for self-interest.
Kind of hope that we're not going to go in that direction. Just, I don't know, just because let's just stick with the story.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
So in the chat here, Mel asked, can we talk about how sad it was when Lena asked her dragon to end her? Oh my God, so sad. Yes, I was
That
actually
was
just about to ask
the
y'all.
next thing. Yeah.
Yay.
Let's talk about Daemon and Lena and Pentos. So we see them fly to Pentos on their dragon. So we know that Lena's dragon is Vagar, which is the largest dragon in the world. Which one is Daemon is Syraxes, right? Or Caraxes or something? Who can tell me?
Caraxes.
Caraxes. Okay.
Caraxes. Mhm.
Okay. So they arrive in Pentos, and the Prince of Pentos. I don't know that we got a name for this guy,
Well,
but
just small correction, Justin. They've actually
Okay.
been living in Pentos for quite some time. If I'm not mistaken, the twins were born over there. Tristan, correct me if I'm wrong. Frank, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe they were born over there because the fact that Daemon went ahead to marry Lena was not going to be accepted over in Westeros, so they
Yeah.
just fled and are doing their own thing.
Yeah, in the books, Daemon and Lena got married without the permission of Viserys and Corlys. They kind of eloped, and then they kind of flew around the world for a long period of time. So they flew over to Essos. They kind of just went dragon riding for a long period of time and lived overseas. So yeah,
Did
that
they
part's
explain
true.
that on the show?
yeah,
No,
I was gonna
no.
ask that.
No, that wasn't
I
on the show.
didn't catch that. I was fucking confused. I was just like, oh, okay, they got married. They approved of their wedding. They joined together and joined houses and shit.
And that's the problem with the time jump and missing a lot of those little pieces, of course. I mean, we can't get all the details, otherwise this show is never going to end, which I'm not mad about. However, it's those little details that would kind of help
miss
you understand.
little things. It kind of sucks. So they got married and fled, or they fled and got married together to live in Pentos. That's
Well, in the show version, I'm not sure if they were wed, if the families, if Viserys and Corlys approved it, or if
So
they
we
just
still don't
eloped
know.
with it. So that hasn't been clear in the show version. The book version, they eloped without nobody knowing.
I see.
I will say, like, the nature of what Lena was telling Daemon, like her wanting to go back and so, I know you miss your brother, and so like I guess there's an allusion to the fact that Viserys did not have, he didn't give the blessing. I think Corlys isn't as against that marriage in the book, I think he's cool with it. I mean, he and Daemon have an alliance, so, and this is still a prince. This is a Prince Targaryen. So no, Corlys I think was cool. Viserys was not. Daemon's also supposed to be in exile around this time anyway.
For the second time, yeah.
Yeah, so
that's the reason he can't go back, or he doesn't want to go back. He just wants to stay there because he's exiled from them.
I don't think he's really. I mean,
it's a light exile. It's like it's really more of a get the fuck out of my face. Like, go back to, go to Dragonstone, go somewhere else. Like, go wherever the fuck you want to go. Just don't come back here, whatever. So,
but also, it sounds like Daemon has a pretty sweet life living in Pentos, living without the politics and everything that he would be having to deal with back home in Westeros. And when he's invited by the Prince of Pentos to continue living there with the small favor of using their dragons to kind of fight their battles, he's like, cool, sign me up. And Lena's kind of like, no, I kind of want to go home. Like, I want my children to go grow up where I grew up. And that makes sense to me. But Daemon, we all know Daemon. Daemon's marched to the beat of a different drum.
That's true. So Daemon and Lena have, like y'all mentioned before, they have twin daughters and they have another child on the way. Unfortunately, much like Emma, this child, there's some pregnancy issues, and I'm interested to see what y'all think about this, because as we saw in the first episode, Emma's got the kid. They can't get the kid, they can't, have the kid come out.
They can't deliver the child.
Can't deliver the child. I couldn't think of the word deliver. Okay. they can't deliver the child, so obviously they're going to cut into her and remove the child. In this, where at this time with Daemon, the surgeon or the doctor asks him about, we can cut into her, and he says, will the mother survive? And he says no. It doesn't. To me, it wasn't clear. Did Daemon kind of say no, we're not going to do that, or did he not give an answer? Like, what is y'all's take on that?
I didn't hear an answer.
I think Daemon was hung up on it because Daemon's a family man now. I mean, yeah, he's a lot of things, but I think over the years of having 2 kids, having a wife, there's remnants of emotional tie to that now. I mean, he loves Laena in his own way, and I think he was literally hung up because he didn't want to lose her. So I think that the timing of that scene of them cutting off to Laena going to get burned by the dragon was fitting, because he really was, for a guy who has always has something to say at all times, to be actually hung up at that point in time says a lot. I thought that scene was perfect.
Which is curious, because the fact that the scene we saw was not the scene that plays out in the book. It was very different in the book. For those who have not read it, Laena does deliver the child, if I'm not mistaken. The child does. Tristan, correct me. Go ahead and correct me.
So there's pregnancy issues,
right?
There too. Like, they can't get the baby out.
But she gets a fever, Laena.
Yeah, and she wants to go out.
Right. She does try to. Right.
And
she does try to walk out to Vhagar.
Yeah, Daemon catches her in time, brings her back inside, and she died a few hours later. Well, no, she died on the steps. He found her on the steps, dead, and he brought her or passed out, and he brought her back to bed, and she. Right. No, I think she died. No, she died on the steps. He found her body.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Right. So slightly different, but I do like the adaptation that was done in the show. Sorry, I didn't mean to mute myself. I like the adaptation because it makes it more dramatic. The fact that prior to this scene of her attempting to deliver, she tells Daemon she wanted to die a dragon rider's death, meaning Dracarys, you get fired up by your dragon. And that's how she wanted to go. She didn't want to go out any other way. And I liked the choice that the showrunners made. And shout out to Miguel Shabachnik for directing this episode, because it was just fabulous, in my opinion. And giving Laena that dragon rider's death. And it did seem that Vhagar was either confused or not wanting to do it, but ultimately Vhagar did bend to the will of her dragon rider, and sadly did kill her. And like many people here in the chat are saying, it was very emotional. It was sad to see her go, and they liked Daemon and Laena together, and I think missing out on the tenderness that Daemon shows to Laena, not putting that in the show, I think you lose a little bit of something. But overall, I think the scene played out very well.
What happens to a dragon?
Like, not going to make it at all? Was the baby not going to make it at all, and that's why she went and did that? Or she just didn't care? She's like, fuck it.
No, it was just about her dying the way her choosing the way she's gonna go out. It wasn't about the life of the baby. I mean,
that kid wasn't coming out.
See, that was my question.
Like, yeah, like they could have cut into it, but like there was no guarantee the kid was gonna make it.
Okay.
If they cut into her,
gotcha.
So she made the decision.
Then that makes more sense.
Anti-Emma. She was like, no, I have agency. I think she heard the conversation. It's like, nah, okay. I'm not gonna even give Daemon a chance to put my life or to decide, like Frank said, decide how I go. So she just made the decision.
Gotcha.
So they talk about how dragon riders are bound to their dragons and vice versa. So what happens to a dragon when the dragon rider dies, or whenever they kill the dragon rider? Or
it's kind of like a dragon goes unclaimed until a new dragon rider comes and claims that dragon. So a dragon rider, a human dragon rider, can only have one dragon in their lifetime, right? But a dragon can have multiple dragon riders throughout that dragon's lifetime. So Vhagar will just. Mm-hmm.
Frank, was there foreshadowing, like the little girl talking about that she didn't have a dragon, that the mom said, like, you can choose the dragon, like if the dragon chooses you or whatever. So was that foreshadowing that little girl gets her mom's dragon?
Not exactly, no.
No.
It foreshadows for sure, but not for Rhaena.
Yeah.
Vhagar gets claimed.
Yeah. This won't be the last time we see Vhagar.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I love the detail too of Vhagar. Like, I mean, we didn't see Vhagar for too long in this episode, but the old look, Vhagar looks tired. Like this dragon's been around for over 130 something years. So to see the age in that dragon's face to me was very defined, and I thought very well thought of by Nick and the team.
And to consider the first time that we really got to see a full-grown dragon was with Drogon and Viserion and Rhaegal. The comparison between Drogon and Vhagar is nothing. I mean, Drogon's like this big compared to Vhagar, who's this big. Like,
yeah, I think it goes Velaryon the Dread, Vhagar, and then another dragon from like years
it would have
prior.
been Meraxes, which was not Visenya. What was the other sister? I'm blanking.
Rhaenys.
Yes, Rhaenys, because Rhaenys went down with Meraxes. So I think those three were the largest.
And then it would have been Vermithor,
Jaehaerys, yeah.
Dragon.
Yes, lots of dragons.
And we saw another dragon. We saw, what was it, Vermax or
Vermax?
Yeah.
I loved seeing the dragon pit, like the interior of the dragon pit, because the first introduction we got in season 8 of Game of Thrones, it was completely destroyed, of course, right? We've seen the dragon pit from a distance, the dome, everything. But seeing the dragon come from the ground out and seeing just the kids' reactions, how different their personalities are, right? Aegon's like yawning. Aemon's kind of like trying to not be interested, but he really is. And Jaehaerys is trying to tame Vermax and speaking the High Valyrian to get Vermax to obey.
Can we talk about the dragon teacher or dragon master in the pits? Like, do you see how scarred up he was? The burns he had on his face, his arms, his body. Like, talk about hazard pay, bro. Like that dude was marked up from head to toe. God dang.
He couldn't work remotely, unfortunately. So the final thing we see in the episode, and I have a big question here because I don't totally remember, and I've watched the episode twice, but I don't totally remember how it ended exactly, because we have Rhaenyra telling Laenor, and he now has a new lover whose name is Carl. This dude Carl, just Carl's a cool guy that he likes, and
Carl with a Q.
Carl with a Q, exactly. Very very strange spelling. So she tells Laenor that we're gonna leave. We're gonna go to Dragonstone. Okay, at this point, does she know what happened to Harwin or not? Or what do y'all think about that?
I don't think she knows yet. I don't think word's gotten out yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
That's what I thought.
I couldn't, because of, obviously there's no, within an episode, we don't really have a jump within an episode, but because of the jumps, it gets kind of confusing sometimes. Like, okay, what do people know? What do they not know? Because oftentimes we see major things happen, but then they're not really addressed. Like the Criston Cole thing last episode, he kills the guy, and then 10 years later, they just, like Laenor, like they walk past each other in the hallway. I mean, not like they're friends or anything, but like we don't get those scenes where it's like whatever confrontation there might have been. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I kill for those scenes, man. And that's my beef with the show, with the time jump. It's the little minute like behavior interactions with like certain characters, man. You have to kind of like make up in your own head and like assume, but it's like, man, I get it. It's supposed to be a limited series. I get it. Yeah. I mean, I'm just bitching right now. I love great art. It's not many times that I get so enthralled with a show, but man, I would love to see those acted out.
It kind of sucks not to see Cole's the Cole and the Queen, because he did like a full 180.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to regard to Rhaenyra, like he called her a cunt. Like, bro, you were about to kill yourself, like to protect your secret, dude. Like, and then like now it's just like a full 180. Like, what did the queen say to him? To like,
But that kind of actually does happen in the book, though. It was kind of, you can believe one or two accounts of how Criston went to Rhaenyra to say, "Run away with me," or you can believe it was Rhaenyra that went to him to say, "Run away with me." It doesn't really matter. The point is that decision was made to continue to be the crown. Criston almost immediately changes allegiance from Rhaenyra to the Greens. It was literally immediate, right, Tristan?
Yes, and it's also, pertinent to mention that Criston Cole is a fucking sociopath, man.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, let's just be real here. He's a sociopath, and we handsome dude, younger dude. So
By the way, love the haircut
handsome sociopaths. Like we let handsome sociopaths ride, but he's a sociopath. So yeah, happens just like that. The book calls him literally Rhaenyra's most bitter foe. So
to switch gears, I know Tristan talked about the scene with the kids fighting in the training yard, how tragic that was. Another tragic scene for me was when Harwin gets exiled from court. He's going back to Harrenhal with Lionel, and Jacaerys asks Rhaenyra, "Is that my dad?" Like, to be that young, and to me that shows you how much the rumors have been swirling around court for a 10-year-old kid to catch wind of that and ask his mom straight up, like, is he my father or am I a bastard? That broke my fucking heart, because like that shows you, just because you're in court, you're somewhat highborn or whatever, your mother's the heir, is that you're still subjected to such emotional pain and your place in this world. And for his mother to not even give him a clear answer, that was tragic for me to see that play on screen.
So
fuck the rumors. I'm sorry, bro. Fuck the rumors. This dude has been with us literally
he's
since
around
I was
him.
born and looks
sure.
exactly like me. And I can look and see everybody else who has the last name Velaryon or Targaryen has blonde hair, right?
Yeah, he's at soccer practice all the time. He's right there by the coach.
but to lose that parental space with Harwin, because Laenor don't give a fuck. Laenor's out here, making love to boys and drinking his wine and wanting to go to war. Like, he has no connection to his kids. So for those kids to lose that paternal arena with Harwin, that was rough to watch, man. I kind of had to look away a little bit, because that was so cringy for me.
So I wanted to pose this question to everyone, and obviously I know not everyone's read the book. It was actually, if I'm not mistaken, the kids who really rode Jacaerys and Lucerys, etc., about their name actually being strong. They would make these remarks and always throw in the word strong in there, and that's more or less how Rhaenyra's children, I guess you could say, would start questioning whether or not their parentage was Velaryon or strong. So would you have rather seen it played out the way that we saw it with Criston Cole challenging Harwin Strong in front of the kids, or would you have rather seen the kids, the Aegon, Aemond, and well, not Helena, but them torturing their nephews?
Personally, for me, I hate to see kids fight, especially when it comes to such like psychological damage in regards to that. I was fine the way it played out. I just wish I would have got a little bit more of the connection on screen with Harwin and the children, because I mean, to see Harwin only for 2 episodes, man. I mean, it was sad to see him exiled, but like I didn't feel it like I would have felt it had to play it over a couple seasons or even a season. So I was fine how it went down with Criston and Harwin. I don't want to see. This is cringy for me to see kids like tease each other over parentage and things of that nature.
And also, kids are bad actors, so I like the scene we got. We got good actors doing the scene. So
hey, we got David Tennant's son Ty playing Aegon Targaryen. David Tennant, as y'all may or may not know, played Doctor Who, and we also have Matt Smith, who plays Daemon Targaryen, who also played Doctor Who. So keeping it all in the family, Targaryen or otherwise.
When is Doctor Who coming to the MCU? That's what I want to know.
Great question.
I'm glad it played out the way it did. Like Frank, I don't like seeing kids being like tortured. You know what I'm saying? I don't even like reading it in the book. Like it's like all 200 pages of Dance of the Dragons. It is a very tough read, remarkably tough read, because you seeing like the bad things happen to these kids because they're essentially fighting their parents' wars. And so I'm glad it happened that way. It doesn't change like the really, really tragic things that happen. But at least, get one little quick, respite from it, reprieve from it. So I was cool with it.
Okay, any final thoughts on the episode before we talk about what's coming next?
A solid episode. I've seen mixed reviews from people saying, like I said earlier, that either they fell asleep because it just was boring to them because there wasn't enough action.
Okay, who the hell are these people? Honestly, this is ridiculous. This is the most entertaining show. I mean, like,
it's like, are we watching the same show? Like, are we or are we not?
These are not people I would converse with.
No. Fell asleep during
also
House
these
of the
are
Dragon?
These are, I think, people who may not have read the book either, so not having the background may not help, but either way.
To be fair, I didn't read Game of Thrones until season 4 started, and I was hooked.
I still haven't read Game of Thrones. Still love the show. So
I think
parts of it.
I think it's a great product, man. I think the acting's been superb, the dialogue's been superb. If you want action, go watch Marvel. I mean, this ain't for you. It's cool, but this is dialogue at its finest, and these are actors acting their ass off. So if you ain't with it, it's fine. I mean, watch something else that pleases you.
Sounds good. Good advice there, Frank. Appreciate it.
Another MVP Alicent Hightower episode. MVP. My girl is killing. My girl is killing it, man.
She's killing it through the hands of Larys Strong. Jesus.
I mean, hey, if Rhaenyra can literally put her 3 children in harm's way every time she fucks Harwin Strong, then Alicent can't. she can be forgiven for getting rid of a hand, unintentionally, of course.
Obviously, I don't want y'all
to. Honor and decency will prevail. Sure. Okay.
For those of y'all who've read the books or read the book and know what happens, obviously don't spoil it for us. But is there a decisive winner in this Dance of the Dragons?
No.
Okay.
Hell no.
Just
hell no.
No. And that's the beauty about this show is that this story is that there's such a power dynamic here and this ambiguity of like succession that the end game is that nobody wins. That's the sad truth is that nobody wins. It just matters like. Yeah, it's a tragic Shakespearean type of story.
When y'all say nobody wins, what do you mean?
Nobody wins. Like somebody loses more.
It's over, right?
Nobody comes out of this. Definitely, nobody comes out of this unscathed, but not just unscathed, but like fucked up beyond belief. You know what I'm saying? Like everything that happens in the Dance of Dragons is not just bad; it's fucked up. It's horrific. It's probably one of the worst things that happened in the Song of Ice and Fire world. Yeah. Like it's in the top 3 of worst things. It's not just that the green side is fucked off at the end. It's not that the black side is fucked off in the end. The Dance of the Dragons encompasses the entire realm, and the realm is no longer the same. Literally, you have houses who cease to exist after the Dance of Dragons. You have long-standing alliances that are broken. You have nothing good comes out of the Dance of Dragon. Zero. Nothing.
So just to kind of piggyback on that, and then we'll move on to what's ahead. There's only going to be certain Targaryens that will continue the line to what we will eventually know to be Daenerys Targaryen and Jon Snow. So there's going to be one of the 2 sides that are basically going to be eliminated. Let's just put it that way. But whose sides? You'll have to watch and find out.
Yeah, it just you're going to see the eradication, like Tristan said, the eradication of a lot of houses, a lot of people, a lot of kids, a lot of lives, just in general. and a lot of new houses pop up over the next 100 years because of what happened in Dance of the Dragons, and furthermore the Blackfire Rebellion. Like, these wars categorically end eras, as you come to find out. So
before we talk about what happens,
go ahead. Are we getting close to that? All that shit happening? Like, how close are we?
It depends how much they want to time jump. I mean, we already got so. I mean, these kids are 10, 12, 13 years old now. So so we've gotten so far ahead, more ahead than I thought we would. So it depends on how much they want to jump as far as time.
Okay.
We're getting close though. Like next episode is going to be, I think, from looking at when we was about to talk about it, but next episode is going to be pretty lit. My last thing on like the Dance of the Dragons is, like, if you look at season 2 and 3 of Game of Thrones and you look at how destitute the Riverlands is, right? The Riverlands have been through, every time there's a fight, like the majority of the fight happens in the Riverlands. Like, it's just
oh my God, does it?
fighting area. And I mean, we see so much shit happens in the river, like Aegon Conqueror, but like definitely in the Dance of the Dragons is where you see like this all-out assault on the Riverlands, and it just gets worse and worse. So by the time 200 years later, we get to Game of Thrones, the Riverlands is just this. It's like, yeah, you have these castles and a few small towns here and there, but like it's completely deserted for the most part. It's just nothing there.
That's why it's just the phrase and the Tullys. There you go. And
there was a Tully reference in this episode too.
Mm-hmm.
Grover Elmo.
Yeah, y'all want to explain that real quickly? I heard that Grover has children that are named very Sesame Streety kind of names.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
So what are the names?
Elmo, Tully, Oscar Tully, and there's one more that I'm forgetting.
Is it Glover Tully?
No, wasn't there an Edmure as well? I mean,
Edmure,
like another Edmure?
I'm not sure.
But like
Piggy.
Stop it, Justin.
No, Miss Piggy Tully was the dragon they gave Aemond, I think, right?
The pink dread. Yes.
Yeah. But just think about, just watch this show and compare the Game of Thrones and just look at how many houses aren't in Game of Thrones. That should give you an answer about the destruction that takes place over the next, 170 years or 150 years now to the main storyline of Game of Thrones. So,
yep, I definitely know all the houses in Game of Thrones. So there's a lot of like
Justin's
it's hard to keep up with. I mean, also stop naming the same names. Like, let's mix it up. Come on.
Justin's going to be our three-eyed raven. He knows everything and knows everything that will come to pass and what has been.
I'm very much a Jon Snow, I know nothing kind of deal.
Oh, well, okay, you said it.
Let's talk about the next episode. Episode 7 is titled Driftmark. So in the little teaser trailer we saw for next week, we get a voiceover from Corlys Velaryon where he's saying, "What is this brief mortal life? But something, a pursuit of legacy." And it's a funeral. Looks like it's a burial at sea. Is that meant to be Laena's funeral?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I didn't know they did that. That was kind of interesting how they put her in that tomb or whatever and just dumped her in the water. Like,
yeah, the Valyrians, they come from the Dragon Lords, but they're sea, the sea people, and they really rely on the sea for the gods, for their burial traditions, all of that too. So
then we see Rhaenyra. She's talking about how House Targaryen basically owes everything they have to dragons and basically their firepower. And then we learn that someone has stolen Vhagar, and I think that y'all probably know who that might be.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely know who that is.
It's very hard to tell. I tried to pause it to see like if there was any kind of hint, but it's too dark and too far away.
I don't think there was a hint at all. But
you do see someone with the dragon as the little girl's watching, or someone's watching them. Like they show that.
Oh, I might have missed that, but it's definitely worth finding out next episode.
Then we see. Go ahead.
I was just saying because that'll have a big role to play in the Dance of Dragons.
Yeah, the biggest dragon I feel like would have a big part in the Dance of Dragons. That makes sense. We see the quick cut scenes of some fighting, and I definitely paused it once and saw Laners in some kind of a sword fight. My guess is that Laner is probably not long for this world. Episode 7 might be his final episode. I think y'all also might know that. Alicent says there's a debt to be paid. Rhaenyra responds with, "This is the highest of all treasons," and we see them fighting over what looks to be a knife or a sword.
The cat's paw.
Okay.
It's in the picture right over your shoulder, Justin. The eye of the dragon is actually the cat's paw.
Sure. Yeah, gotcha. It's backwards, so
I know it's mirror reflection. Yeah. Did y'all notice a character that wasn't in the previews? That's been in the episodes so far. Anyone pick up on that?
I did not.
Well, Otto is he's back. It looks like.
Right, Otto is back, but someone that we have seen in every single episode who was not in the previews.
Criston Cole?
No, Criston Cole's going to be there for a while. Just spoiler. The king.
I think he makes, just looking at the episode titles.
Yeah.
I think he makes it until close to the end of the season.
I
don't think he's not going to die next.
I think it's going to be. I think it might be like a Ned Stark thing, like episode 9. He goes out in episode 9. Just my thoughts.
What I think we're going. Oh no, you know what? I'm not going to say that. Never mind. Yeah,
we'll talk privately and we'll figure it out.
Next week is going to be. It's going to move again the conflict forward in a much major way. And again, like somebody's going to claim Vhagar. Whoever claims Vhagar, I won't even say that either.
No, don't say that.
I was going to make an NBA analogy, but I can't do that.
No, don't do that.
It's just next week is going to be big as far as like I said, moving the story, the conflict completely forward. You definitely absolutely start to see the battle lines drawn, and I think that's what Corlys is alluding to in that voiceover over the trailer is he's going to start making more assertive moves into his overall ambition. And I think that's what he's talking about. Very key conversation he's having there. I think with Rhaenys, if I'm not mistaken. So
yes, she does make a quick cameo in the preview.
And also a quote you have Otto talking about. Looks like he's talking to Aegon. I don't know if I couldn't totally tell, but he says, "I promise you in time, you and I together will prevail." So it seems like Aegon. I don't know if that makes. I mean, obviously he wanted Aegon to be king instead of Rhaenyra. I mean, they're not trying to give it away. So, George, you and I are kind of in the same boat as far as not reading the book. What is your prediction based on what you saw for next week?
I did not see what's happening next week.
See it. Okay.
I don't watch it every time. Okay. I just want to be surprised.
Okay.
I have a question, and I don't know if Brittany or Tristan can answer this. So, Viserys and Rhaenyra's kid is Aegon II.
Alicent's kid.
Alicent.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Alicent kid. Why is he the second when Aenys had a kid as well? Aegon II. I know Maegor killed him, but he was Aegon II too. I mean, he was Aegon.
Did he sit on the throne?
Oh no, he was killed by Maegor before he could. That's how. Okay, so to get that title, second, third, whatever, you have to actually sit on the throne.
I believe you might have to ascend.
Also, I don't know. I'm not totally sure on that.
Because Aenys had a kid too named Aegon, and Maegor killed because Aenys' son Aegon was supposed to be the next king, and Maegor the crew killed him, and that's how he became king for that short term that he was king. But there was an Aegon. There was a second Aegon after the Aegon the Conqueror.
We might have to chat offline about this, Frank. So, but I think it's probably because of the fact that that other Aegon never ascended.
I just find that weird because like if I have a son, Franklin Jr., it's not gonna be his junior name is not gonna be taken away because he didn't sit on the throne. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what went into him not getting that styling, but
yeah,
he was a prince.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, he was the firstborn.
Don't have an answer.
So probably a good place to wrap there. Brittany, how can people find us on social media?
Well, first of all, thank you to everyone who's joined us for today's live stream of our pod. We really appreciate each and every one of you, your comments, sticking around with us as things got a little heated in the house of the basement. And shout out to Geeking Out with Melly Mel, Trisha, the Texas Potterhead, and Own Kind of Beauty, LDJ. I think we saw Daryl here earlier, and Drew for sure, a friend in the North, and anyone else I forgot, Amber from Olive Amber. Shout out to all of y'all. Appreciate it once again. But don't forget to like this video if you already haven't, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you already haven't. Help spread the word about the Watchers in the Basement. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by using @WatchersBasement. You can also continue to help spread the word about us, grow our audience by using #WatchersBasement on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Let us know if you find any interesting articles, memes. We love memes. I know George and I and a bunch of us will send each other memes all the time. So if you see something that we need to look at, let us know. Use #WatchersBasement. And lastly, we are also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify for all of your audio podcast needs. Give us a 5-star rating. Really helps us out. We definitely want to let others know that we're here. If you enjoy this podcast, let us know. Appreciate it. Back to you, Justin.
Thank you, Brittany. So for Brittany, for George, for Frank, and for Tristan, I'm Justin saying we'll see you next week. We talk about episode 7 of House of the Dragon. Thanks for watching.